officially beginning, so welcome back. Hi. Hi. Yeah, not rhetorical, I swear. Hi. Yes, it wasn't. I got a chance to look at your theme songs while I was eating lunch today. Enjoyed that very much. I love it when I get to expand my musical horizons without having to wade through a whole bunch of stuff I don't want to hear, which is what I feel like when I try to turn on the radio to any sort of modern music. I have old taste in music, as my husband says, turn the page. It's nice to see several of you trying to help me out. One of you picked a Drake song. Is that person here? No? Okay, well, it was a very funny video on YouTube. It was something like Back Where I Started From, something along those lines. Do you know this?
From the bottom down here.
That, yeah.
That wasn't me, but I think
Okay.
that's a good song.
Yeah, I don't think I can play it in class because there's some questionable lyrics. But I found the video funny because he was like working in a Walgreens or some. It was like a CVS or a Walgreens, and then it was like interspersed with shots of him being rich, like with furs and like cars and jewelry and stuff. Back like it was sort of like a humble brag, but not even that humble. So it sort of inspired me to do the same. Actually, I have something. So quant cool right here. True story. My first semester or year as an undergrad, I worked in the Walmart shoe department for $5 an hour in Lincoln, Nebraska. I got $5 an hour to unpack shoes and to walk up and down the rows where they were all open and make sure the laces were tucked in, the right shoe was pointed down, and the left shoe was pointed up. That was my life for a good year, right? Back where I started from, if you go to walmart.com, not that I enjoy Walmart, I actually hate it quite a bit. I still have post-traumatic stress from working there. But if you search for my book, they sell it.
Started from the bottom, now you're there.
I started from the bottom and I'm somehow still there, just on the other side. So yes, that's my book. So for a while they had some really bizarre, like if you liked this, you might like something else that involved camping. I wasn't quite sure how they made that connection. But yeah, so although to be fair, their prices are actually way higher than what's on Amazon. So they're trying to make extra money off of my effort. But yeah, so I started at the bottom and now I'm back up. Yeah.
What's really annoying actually is though that Drake, he was like a child actor. He was on Degrassi. He's from Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I used to teach in Chicago, and they used to be like, I started from the bottom. I'm like, he started from the middle. He did not start from the bottom.
So he never worked at Walgreens, is what you're saying?
No, he was on Degrassi. Yeah. I mean, he was in a wheelchair. I mean, I don't know if he's going that route, but I mean, in the show.
He was an actor. Yeah, that's disingenuous. That's disappointing. But anyway, yes.
You burned your day.
Yeah. Well,
That was just a burst of Drake.
So if I can segue, you know how you keep from ever having to work at Walmart or Walgreens again? You learn quantitative methods. Because I guarantee that someone will pay you. Because people hate statistics so much, they are willing to pay anyone to do it for them. I can't even tell you, like I paid off all of my student loans teaching workshops. I've gotten free trips to Europe and Australia to go teach this stuff. I'm not rich or anything, but I'd be much less off if I had specialized in something that everybody likes to do.
Teaching. Like me.
So, just saying, this is a way that you can help supplement your income by working as a quantitative cool person for hire. So that's what I want to show you how to do today. So you've got your files. First thing we need to do is find where we get to the software. So ask the Google for Iowa Virtual Desktop. And it should bring up a page that looks like this. So each of you should be able to enter your Hawk ID and your Iowa password and log on. So I have saved favorites already because I've been in here, but their whole list of the packages you can access is here under apps. And there's various different programs. We want statistical analysis. If we go under that tab, here's all the things you have access for free as a student. Or faculty, yeah. Very cool. I've never had this anywhere I've worked before, so I'm very pleased that you have access to all of these things. I'm not sure how many of them have the on or off campus rule. M+, by the way, I had to get special access to, so that's probably not in your list. But you should have, hopefully, Stata and SAS. Do you guys have that? Excellent. Do you want to start with SAS of the two? Sure. Learn how to use that? It's the one that you can use from off campus. So if nothing else, it's also the one that I've pledged my allegiance to. So let's open that up. So it looks like it's either a double click or a single click, and it'll take a minute to warm itself up. I'm not actually sure what SAS stands for. I want to say it's something like statistical analysis software or systems or something, but it's just SAS. All right, come on, you can do it. It's thinking about it. Maybe it's mad because we're all trying to do it at the same time from one IP address, but. Okay, well, this may take a minute. This is why, by the way, I made sure that I printed all of the output that we're going to generate, just in case we can't actually get to run things live. But we'll let it sit here.
Statistical analysis system.
System. Even better than software. Thank you. It's just, it's thinking about it. Yours is open? No? No one's is open yet? Is anyone's open yet? Is this just not going to happen? Yours is open? Okay, we got one. He's opened it before. I have opened it before as well, just not today. So maybe it's validating something or another. But while that thing is spinning uselessly, I will help you navigate the different types of files that I gave you here. So I gave you a whole bunch of stuff. And I have a few more that I've added since the packet that I made for you. Let me see let me make sure that's the one that you're using. Jesus. All right. Okay, so this is the set of files that you have here. I'll just go through the list since it's not going to necessarily show what they are. DTA is a Stata data file. It's proprietary, so you can't open it in any other package, just like by double-clicking on it. SAS7BDAT is the SAS data file. I have no idea why it's 7 and why it's BDAT, but that's just what it is. Also proprietary that you have to open in SAS. I have two different Excel files because I wanted you to be able to actually see the data that we're going to be playing with. The XLS one is the old school Excel that we're going to import, and I saved it as the new one and added an extra tab with information about the variables. That's helpful to have separately just in case you need to refer to it. In terms of the actual program files, this SAS extension contains computer code for SAS. It is an editor, and the analog to that in Stata is this. Oh, something just happened.
Something's happening.
Me too.
Wow! I have like 3 instances now because I tried to do them all here. Let me see. This is the second one. I do want to end that SAS session. I'd like to keep this one. Okay, good. Let me leave that there. So it doesn't matter if you have these programs installed on your computer. You can still look at the code itself. These are just text files. So for instance, if I right-click on this SAS file, I'm inside the zip, so I got to get outside the zip. Here, where did it go? Example 2, SAS. It gives me a whole bunch of options for what I can open it with. I like to use text editors rather than Word because Word does funky things with the quotation marks sometimes and messes it up. But let's see, where's open? Open with. There should be an open with somewhere in here. There it is. So it offers SAS because that's what it's native to, but note that you can do Notepad too. So if you need to refer to your code for whatever reason and you don't have access to the program itself, you just open it and you can see all the stuff. Now the code itself is colored to help you navigate what different commands mean, and that doesn't show up in here. For that, I would recommend a program called TextPad. It's free. You can download basically a set of instructions for it that it will color the syntax the right way. It does that for all different types of scripting languages. So this is to say you don't have to have these programs on your laptop to refer to these instructions. Same thing with Stata, the do extension, DO, you can open that in any kind of text file as well. In terms of the output, what we're going to do today, I have already saved as separate files so that you can refer to them. This is example 2 that we're working with. The SAS output I saved as a rich text file because it has the capacity that you can edit it if you want to and do it in any sort of Word or any kind of, what's the analog to Word in Mac?
Pages.
What is it?
Pages.
Pages? Okay. And log in Stata is just another text file. So you can open that in Notepad, Word, TextPad, anything like that as well. So if you get behind as we're running things, no worries. You've got it all right there. From this point out, I will not be doing live software demonstrations for you. I'm going to build handouts instead. So I just finished a handout actually this morning just to give you a flavor of what that will look like. Let me find it. This is what we're going to do next week, for instance. What I will typically do instead of running software live is give you the commands that I want you to do and then show you what happens in terms of the output that you get. That way you're not running things live. You can just pay attention to what's going on and take notes because I trust that you know how to hit a button and make all this happen because that's all it takes to run the software. But I do want you to get familiar with getting into it, and so that's why I wanted to do a demo today. So do you guys have this yet? Something that looks like this? Excellent. It's still loading? Okay, it'll get there, yeah. So I've maximized the window here because within this, 5 different windows open simultaneously within SAS. Only 4 of them are going to be useful to you, likely. But editor here, this is where you will do your, enter the commands to make it do things. Log is where it will tell you what happened, as well as error messages if something goes wrong. Output is a legacy window that shows old school output. Nowadays, it shows up as a separate window of HTML. So this one you may not ever actually need. And then over here, there's a results tab that is going to have a tree structure of everything that you run so that you can navigate through your output if you want. And Explorer is just like in Windows Explorer, it helps you find your stuff. So first thing we need to do is open the file that I gave you to work with today. So I'm going to maximize this window so that we can all see it. Go over here to, in the Explorer tab, this little file box thing, they're called libraries. Double click on that. You will see that there are 6 given to you by default. This work one is where your stuff is going to be. So let's open the program here. We'll go to File. We're going to open Program. It wants you to navigate to where your file is. So I'm going to pull mine out of my Dropbox. You should pull yours from wherever you just downloaded it. Where is C? There we go. We want example 2 for this class.
Yeah.
Should be able to get your files even from inside Mac. Yes. Any other Mac people? How do you get to the files?
I can't find it. You can't find it. Okay.
You can't find it?
I can't find it.
Yeah,
Well, because it's under downloads. When I look at downloads, it says no items match your search.
Weird.
Go to your name.
Say this should be a solvable problem, I swear.
Yeah, there's
Okay, so go to your name. Is a suggestion we're working with right now.
That's the syntax. Yes.
Yep.
Save it.
How'd you get out?
I did.
Oh, weird. Is it on or is it stuck? Can you get canceled?
I wonder if it's because I'm on a virtual desktop.
I know, that's.
Because I have it on my actual desktop, on my computer.
Me too, exactly the same with me. So I have the files downloaded on my desktop, we have login servers to get to SAS.
Yes,
Right. Okay.
So you might need to put them somewhere else.
yes, and I don't know.
So, any luck over here? You're good?
Yep.
Okay, raise your hand if you need help.
Oh.
Okay, okay, we got troubleshooting going on over here.
I don't even know what to do.
Okay. See, this is where now I'm gonna feel like my mom, because my aptitude with Max is like her level of.
It's in downloads, but I don't know how to save this to like my desktop.
Right, this is.
Can you copy? And then send it somewhere? Paste it? Desktop?
Or you can. I didn't know you could do that.
Okay, well, okay, now you know where desktop is, you just have to find it. Yeah, I think it's your name's desktop, because
Yeah.
unless it's, no, okay, oh, that's right, you're on the wrong computer, sorry. So it's looking for,
So maybe just use the computers that come with the university
so
files.
it's looking for the password, and it's like,
But yeah, the things aren't downloaded, that's the only thing.
so, we need to have the folder first and then inside the folder, because that,
So we're on her website.
well, inside download.
Me too, on my computer, exactly the same.
When I look in downloads, I don't get anything. There's desktop, it doesn't get anything.
Is the folder on your desktop now?
We can ask the Google, or we can just Google her name, website will
That's
come up.
true.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay,
Did you ever get those pictures from
you might have to take the files out of it, because it's not,
Did you do that for me?
because it's not finding the folder.
Because I remember you.
So it's basically making it seem, so what the citrus does is make it like your desktop on a PC at home.
Yes.
So
So
it's
she's on
like,
her own machine. so she-
basically it's running a different machine, right?
Oh, okay. You can if you're.
Yes.
Can connect it to your
But it's-
That's how I'm able to access it.
Okay, so that's a separate step.
Probably.
So I should go into this. Are we gathering?
It's weird that it won't find the file though.
Maybe, my SAS files?
No, that's assassin. You go back up and.
Okay,
scroll
you're
down.
ready?
Go down.
I found it.
Yeah, I found
I
it.
got you.
Well, I see
Go
my
to-
file to my desktop.
Mine's on my desktop too, but I can't find my desktop.
So,
Okay, so what I did is
Can you
when I was searching for it, then I went to local disk H, which is Kelly's MacBook, and that's on my desktop.
go to references. Okay, and then what I did was I clicked my local disk H.
See, aren't you glad you're figuring this out now instead of like the night before your homework's due?
Oh,
Did it work?
yeah.
Okay, what was the
So
solution?
it's this PC and then my local disk H, which I don't know what that means, and then desktop, and then it's there.
Okay, so that's the same thing that she just said, except I didn't understand the connection. So yes, all right.
Yeah, for some reason virtual desktop doesn't like you to put it on your actual machine, you have to put it on your H drive.
I didn't do that, but
What, like, your home drive is everything, like your desktop, your pictures, your that
so
stuff.
it just went there.
All right, so
There's too many desktops, like me.
are you there yet or no?
Is there only
Let me
two,
start- okay.
two things that pop up then? when I
Uh,
do this stuff?
I see two things.
I only
I
get
can
two.
pick, so I don't
Two
know.
things?
Yeah.
Two files
There's
or?
value labels and then example 2.
Yes, example 2 is what we want.
Okay, perfect. I have it. Does anybody else do that? Outland loader?
I think I did.
Oh, I don't know how to do it.
Well, I know this is just way outside my
I
comfort
don't
zone.
know. What if it's the same?
So I'm opening up a description of the data set that we're going to play with here for my own future reference. Because you have this as well, but we don't. That'll be the variable information. Okay. So we've got, so you're restarting. Did you get, you're good? Excellent. You're good. This row's good? No, it's not yet. It's not working?
I can't send them to everyone, but it won't be fun.
Why can't you sound it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it should know you. Let me see if I can help troubleshoot that, because that is a bigger problem if you don't have a consistent internet access. I'm on UI. I'm on EduRoam.
Yes, I'm in SAS.
So what happens when you try to log into EduRoam?
I use my email and it just keeps on asking me to sign in.
Can rather than your email, can you use your Hawk ID?
I tried that and it does the same thing.
Okay.
Do you do Hawk ID and
Karen dash whatever you want.
Yeah, try that one. Try that one.
Whatever.
That was my login.
Because I don't know your last name. There's like a V and a G somewhere.
tried to like that before, and then it comes back and it's like signing
No,
in.
but my actual email is my name dash. But you're saying that it's
Do Hawk ID.
No, yeah.
Hawk
Yeah.
ID
So,
and
yeah.
which is okay.
Cause like mine is like
The truncated one is smaller, like mine's T-Schnell, so it's
yeah, mine's a GF and it's not Gabriel.
And mine is less often, which drives me crazy because my user ID for everything else in my life is Lisa Hawk, and I remembered not to type the A.
Yeah.
So, all right, did you get the file?
Let's see.
That's perfect when you're.
Oh, I don't mean to punish you for coming in late. That's not good.
Yeah.
So we're reading this.
Yeah, sure.
There's no pictures of dolls. You might not have had one.
That's why I started.
I thought it was cheese.
So the place where I find
My dad starts tomorrow.
is in my drive. Oh, this is the other thing. Never mind. This isn't your experience.
Oh, there it is.
Never again.
I never did that.
Library.
That was last. How did we get to the age? I mean, I didn't leave. I left for church on Sunday.
That's all I screwed. That's not right. Go back to work.
I'm back. Okay, hold on. Is there like a back button? I don't know where did it go? That's all.
No, maybe. Okay, I think click to edit.
Edit.
Open. Or file open.
File.
Open Word. And then I clicked on desktop. We'll try that. Okay, try this PC. Yes, this is not the way I went.
This is how I got the last one.
I can solve that one.
Or go libraries, and then just find your H drive.
Yes,
That was the top. I'm sorry.
Yes, you want to read right. Am I
Here again?
Oh, there it is. Karen's MacBook.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have to go to walk.
Desktop. Or that's what it said there, right?
There's a shelf from my apartment to
Oh, here we go.
See, we're all gonna win. We're eventually gonna win.
Together we're stronger.
I only have two things that come up. How many things do you have to come up?
Okay, I put the whole folder, the whole gist folder.
I'm never forget
And
that.
it looks like.
So the whole folder is on my desktop. And it's Facebook.
Oh, you know what, look at the bottom, because you're in open, I was in explore, and you're just looking for stats bars.
Oh,
They
okay.
should include all
All
of it.
five. There.
Yay, we're up there.
Okay.
I already, I mean, I'm good, I can get a PhD
Oh,
in
yeah.
math.
Actually,
Slow your roll. Well, you're gonna let people think this is so hard. I've never written one line of code ever. Hand out with the code. Well, that's cool. I don't know. I don't know how to code.
it's like a forwarding thing or like an alias and everything. See, I don't know about that. Like, I would be careful. You can, send yourself an email from a different account. I think it works.
Okay,
So now
okay, we are not gonna let SAS defeat us. We are not.
I would make it to the little box.
I refuse to accept defeat. Alright. Are you guys good?
We are.
Awesome.
If I can figure it out, really good.
Is what?
If I can figure it out, anyone can figure it out.
All we do is win. We put our hands up.
That's my life. That's my life. That's all we're gonna have to do. Jeff helped. Okay, great. We're getting to it. I work full time, so that looks like.
We're fighting with virtual machines.
That took a long time.
Okay, but once you know how to do it once, you can do it again, right?
Oh.
Here it is.
I'll be calling Lexi.
Yeah.
I'll bring it
Post it to the computer.
FaceTime you onto my
Tech support. All right. So everything that I want to tell you about is already written, okay? You don't have to write. But this is a whole lot of words here, and that's why. It's because I knew that this would be overwhelming to try and take notes and learn all of this at the same time. Everything you see in here that's green, this is what's known as a comment. These are notes to yourself that the program will ignore. So think of it as your trail of breadcrumbs. Every time you want to know what you're doing or remind yourself why you're doing something, those are notes. So in this syntax file, I'm just going to scroll so you can see all the colors. Colors are your friend. They will help you know whether or not you're on the right track when you're trying to type things out. So comments are green. SAS embedded commands that it knows what that means turn blue. Anything that you have to change, like the name of a data set or the name of a variable, is going to be in black, like right here. If you see red, something is wrong. Okay, red is bad. SAS is not case or space sensitive, except for anything that shows in purple. Like right here, for instance, in purple. That was the most polite sneeze I've ever heard.
Dr. Hoffman,
Yeah.
what file should we be clicked on?
Example 2.sas.
Well, mine didn't show the numbers.
It doesn't show the numbers? Let me fix that. Let's go to, well, numbers are going to be helpful. It goes to, let me find it. Let's see, tools. And then options. Enhanced editor, I believe. Yep. And then under the general tab, there is an option to show line numbers. That will be really helpful in making sure that you know where we are in the file. Do you need help?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No worries.
I don't know this file.
We want you're missing one. You're missing an example.
Okay, well that would make sense of why I couldn't find it.
I don't know where it went. You may have to re-download and save again, because there should be something called our class name and then example2.sas syntax, SAS syntax. Okay. So, are we ready to do this? It's going to be okay, right? It's going to be okay. Because I promise that I'm not going to make you do anything that I haven't given you an exact instruction or template to follow. Okay? That's my promise. You don't have to hunt for this stuff like I had to hunt for some of the stuff to even make these things. First thing we got to do is tell SAS where our stuff is. As you've already seen, this is non-trivial. But rather than opening up the file through Windows, we're going to need to tell it through code where your stuff is. So I'm starting on line 71 here.
Can you explain how you have those, real quick, how you have line numbers in?
Sure. It is under Tools, Options, Enhanced Editor.
Gotcha.
Line numbers is a box you can check right here.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure. Is this big enough, or do you want me to try and make the font bigger? People in the back, can you see? Yeah, okay. Better eyes than me. Good for you. All right. So, line 71 here, that's where we're looking at. So, we have to tell it the path to our files so that it knows where to look to open things. This is where the Explorer tab can help you. If you go in Explorer, navigate up, there's this little file thing with an arrow, up one level. You'll get to this PC. You can click into that just like you would in any other file directory system, and you should be able to find it.
Even if you don't have a PC?
It should say this computer or something.
I still think it's a PC.
Okay. Apparently that term is not specific to PCs. But for instance, I know that I need to get to my Dropbox, which is where I have put everything. So I need to do that real quick. And view it as a list. So H is one of the options that I have here, for those of you who've successfully gotten stuff in H. Come on. It's all a little bit laggy because it's a virtual machine. But so for instance, I know you probably can't see this from where you are, but this tiny font right here, this is the internal path to where it's going. It's // client / and then C drive is where my stuff is. I think yours would start with H from this point if that's where you put your stuff. So that address is what we have to type on line 71. That's step 1 here. Did you get it?
No,
So
I
it should
don't
be-
have any address
You don't have an address.
in the results section.
It should show you want to be an Explorer, so I think you're in the other window.
I'm so sorry.
No worries. Yeah, you want your Explorer somehow left, so we need to get it back.
Okay.
Let's go to View and Explorer, and then it shows up over here, which we don't want. So let's go to Window.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and then hit this button, Docked, and that's going to move it back. Okay, so now you have this PC, and we got to go find where your stuff is.
Okay. Oh, so find it like I did
Yep.
before.
Yep. And so if you go into that,
Top.
there
There it is.
yeah, so that's where all your stuff is going to be. We just have to figure out how to get to that address. My guess is that it's going to be H, and then you have to go H and then desktop / and then that.
Okay.
But yours shows something.
Up there? Yeah, for whatever reason, it's actually showing that. Okay, so,
Do we just copy that?
yeah, if you can, copy it or type it.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
That's why
Oh,
we're
yours?
I think
That's
so.
perfect. That's exactly what it
Yeah,
is.
that's,
Thanks.
that's what it looks like. Good.
Okay.
All right, you guys have your
It's
tabs?
just what it is now.
So what do we replace, line 71?
Yes.
You
did
just
you
need
write
that
it?
address, the client,
Mine
whatever,
says
whatever
client too.
each. And it has to be exactly right, otherwise it doesn't.
But do we do the two backslashes?
Unexpectedly shut down.
This is the first one I've ever written
And it will
here.
Me too,
reopen.
but do we take out the entire
So,
thing or do we
here.
take
This
less?
is real.
I'm gonna do backsplash.
Really?
That's my, wait, so she started with
File save.
equals backsplash, and backsplash,
Yeah.
backsplash, you know what I mean?
Well, you got some neighbors.
So-
Yep.
You're gonna do file save.
And then equals, and then I'm gonna do, then I'm gonna start there.
Backslash.
Yep, so, yeah. you can just either copy that somehow or type it into that line 71.
So smart right now. Well, I feel so stupid slash smart. Really smart.
Yeah, it's still, downloading itself.
It's really what it is.
And it might just be taking
Oh, you know why?
How do you see the rest of the code?
It's because I renamed my
Yes,
phone.
just to
Although that's just
Twice minus
No, mine's up here.
Oh.
I actually see this and then see this.
All those files.
Can I make little notes on it?
Oh, you can.
Okay, when you when I reopen it, though, it
Really wish I was
has
it
it
has
all in it.
Because I put it in a file on my desktop.
Okay.
Right. So now it's like super long. Okay.
Alright.
I'm back. So I just put that here, I can't see that whole thing. That's it, right?
Yeah, you can go to your desktop, go to find it.
Good? Not yet.
Okay, you put that apostrophe at the end?
I did not use apostrophes, but I did use that semicolon.
Or semicolon?
Semicolon at the end.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And then did you enter?
I did. And the let went blue, and then I felt like
I didn't go blue.
Yeah, we're not entering yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're ahead of the class here. So,
That the first and only time.
No.
alright. So what we are doing conceptually is a very advanced version of find and replace. Whenever you want to refer to a data file that is not a native SAS file, which is like most of the time, every time you were going to have to do that, you'd have to type this out. That gets annoying, and it gets easy to screw up, because like, what if you put it in a new folder? You don't want to change it in 87 places, right? That's not helpful. So we're defining this variable right here. It's not a data set variable, it's a coding variable. It's called file save. Everywhere from here on out that the program sees that magic word, starting with an ampersand and ending with a period, it's going to take that whole path and shove it in there instead. It's an abbreviation. So getting that set up then solves the problem. You can have as many of these as for different places as you need to.
How precise does it, like on my desktop, which this is saved to, there are spaces on, like it's in a folder.
It has to be exactly
have
right.
space.
Exactly right. Space and case sensitive, otherwise it's not going to get it correct. And so for this reason, you'll note that almost all of my files use underscores instead of spaces, because I've just gotten in the habit of doing that to keep myself from accidentally typing the wrong things.
So if you're working with multiple data sets, file save could also be file save 1, file save 2.
This one is not pointing to a data set, it's pointing to a folder.
Or, excuse me.
But yes, file save is a name that I made up.
Sure. Okay.
It can be whatever you like.
Gotcha.
And you can have as many of them as you want.
And so when we just did that thing on line 71, we got that too. We now have file save on ours.
Once you run it. Once you run it. So just typing this doesn't make it go. There are two ways to make it go. One is using the Windows and the other is using a keyboard shortcut. So up here, do you see this tiny little running man?
Yep.
And if you hover over it, it says submit. Then don't do it. Don't click it. Because that's going to submit the entire program. If all you want to submit is this for right now, which is all we need, we would highlight it and hit submit. And then it's going to be like, nothing happened.
Is that what we're supposed to do that?
You can do that now, just if you highlight the one thing.
Highlight, hit running man.
Yep, highlight and hit running man. And what happened behind the scenes is that it printed that line to the log. So it now understands what file save means. But here's why I said be careful. In the worst human factors decision ever, guess what's next to the running man?
Aww.
The delete key.
Oh, goodness me.
So, exactly. I can't decide if this is the worst one or the desktop computers that had the USB drive at the bottom in an angle to where you had to like lay under your desk to put your thumb drive in at just the right angle. Do you remember those? Like that is second only to putting the run key next to the delete key. So to avoid yourself from accidentally deleting all of your work, keyboard shortcut to run is F3. So just hit that. Just F3. Once you've highlighted what you want to tell it to go, hit F3. Okay, question?
I don't know
It says an error? Let's see.
You see the log part I was just talking about? Where'd you find that?
It's underneath the bottom.
I don't know how it went.
So there's output log, what,
Yeah, and the output.
It is simple. It's magic. It's something. Can I just
Go to-
scroll up and down?
When I can access it.
Oh,
Because that's where I have like the password.
I don't think you need the dollar sign. Yeah,
I don't know.
I know. What if it ends up being, I think, a big.
Did it just? That's like happy three.
I'm gonna go off,
I
buddy.
think it's because you're too many. So help me. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of things open to gap, so I have no
If that's a simple.
You can do
You
command
need,
content.
it'd be shifting,
You can do command select.
yeah.
Or you want to see command S.
I'll just save it and
So
I'll
save
delete it
command,
later.
command S. Saves.
Okay, now it's happy.
It's happy?
Yeah, because it didn't yell at you. It just spit it back.
You can just search for it.
So, does anyone else have a log that's angry with them? If it's angry with you, it turns red. It lets you know.
Mine's very angry.
Is it red?
Yeah, there's
I think, right? I think so.
71?
Yep.
save button.
71 is red?
Yeah, is that right? Is it okay to just say that I'm on
Oh, it says it on the line.
I don't know.
The words itself turn red if it doesn't understand.
But this one is
And yours is red?
It was, and then I think I put the spaces in there and I made it happy.
Okay. That's Karen. I'm counting. Yeah.
Okay, so this last line is black.
So that worked.
Yes.
So the last line is black, so.
Yes, then it worked.
Okay. So what?
Yeah, it doesn't give you anything more definitive.
1,000 lines of red before it don't matter.
It's okay. If you have 1,000 lines of red and you don't want to see a record of your problems,
That would be.
to the keyboard shortcut to clear the log is Control E. Bye-bye.
So you control all, or delete all of that?
Yep.
And
Control E, and it's all clear again. Your mistakes have been forgiven. All right. From here, it gets easier, I swear. Getting the files in is the hardest part because of this virtual machine thing, but once you've done it once, you'll be able to do it again. Yeah. Okay, can we go on?
We're still not hitting enter after the line 71, right?
Not after it, well, you have to highlight the whole line. And when I try to do it with the mouse, it takes a second for it to participate. So the semicolon here, SAS, everything has to end in a semicolon. Like it doesn't know you're done talking to it otherwise. So just get used to that as like it's called a line terminator, a command terminator. So the data set that we're playing with was from one of the optional textbook that is How to Use Stata. I stole their data set because it's a nice big one with lots of variables. And so these lines right here on line 82, proc stands for procedure. Everything that you want to do in SAS, with like one exception, starts with proc something. Proc import. Can you guess what I'm asking it to do? Right again. Can you guess what it is to send it back out?
Export.
Export. Outport would work too, but export, yes. So colors here. Dark blue indicates it's a command. Lighter blue indicates it's an option within that command. So first question, okay, you want to import something. What do you want to import? Data file equals. So this data file the first part of this is our magic abbreviation for the type, that long path that you just typed. So that word file save started with an ampersand, that's the thing above the 7, I think, and finished with a period. It's going to find and replace all of that into there. Then we have a slash. I think in Mac it might be the other slash. No, it's this one for, since you're in virtual machine. Okay, yeah. And then the name of the data set that you want to include. Case and space sensitive. Anything in this pinky purple color, you have to get exactly right. So the data set I would like for you to import today is GSS_2012, and then the extension .dta is a stata data set. So where is it going to go? That's the next thing. Out actually means in. Like you're going to import it into SAS. Where is it going to go? All SAS data file names have two parts. Think first name, last name. First name is where inside the SAS system, which is known as a library. Work is a temporary location that you don't have to set up. It's already there. That's where all our stuff's going to go. Because we don't actually need to save the new data set. Anything we do to it, so long as we have the original data set and this set of lines, that's enough. We can recreate it. So I am saving it in this temporary location. I am giving it a name, GSS from Stata. You can name it whatever you want. I think you have up to 32 characters to do so. The rules are no spaces, and it has to start with a letter, not a number. The only special characters you're allowed are underscores. DBMS stands for Database Management System. This is a built-in SAS option. It knows what you mean by that. There's a whole slew of them, but DTA it understands as a Stata data set, and it knows what to do with it. You can also have things like SAV for SPSS files, Access for Microsoft Access tables and things like that. And last but not least, replace means if I already have it, go ahead and write over it. This is helpful if you import your data, you do something to it, and you screw it up royally and you just want to start over. Not that that's ever happened, right? It will just write, it will start from scratch. So you can just rerun it and get your fresh data set back. So inside my Explorer right now, this is the inside of my Dropbox. I want to get out of this personal computer back up to where this file is going to go. So if you click on your Explorer window, navigate up, this is this little up button here. You got to go all the way back up to where it began. Libraries. Work is right here, so this is where it's going to go. I'm going to double click on that. It doesn't have anything in it yet, but it will. So you shouldn't have to change anything to make this work. Yeah, it lags because it's like virtual rather than being on your desktop. So highlight lines 82 through 85 and hit F3, or very carefully select the running man. It'll take a second. So at the top it's telling me proc import is running.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When you click the file up to go back to the main file library shortcuts, what did you click on?
Over in Explorer, this to get back up.
Right.
So this is the, when you first log in, these are the choices that you get. I changed my view to list rather than, so this is what it starts as. Where we went is this yellow file cabinet, libraries, and then work.
Oh, work. Okay.
Yep. And so now it has a data set in there after running this line 82. One thing I forgot to mention, this run here, you'd think it's redundant because you want to run it by selecting it, but you have to have this to tell it you're all done giving it instructions. The analog to this I think of is with my 4-year-old, and he says, "Mommy, can I have a snack?" Can you ask nicely? Mommy, can I please have a snack? Or can I have a snack, please? Usually tacks it onto the end of the sentence. Like this is like, please? Like it's necessary to really make it go. So run with the semicolon is like the end of each set of commands. All right. So if you double click on the data set, you see all the stuff. SAS will not let you do anything while the data set is open. You can look, but you don't touch.
Oh, it is static.
Yeah, because it came from Stata. That's the name I gave it. GSS from Stata is the name of my data file.
Well, how come it says SAS, view table, or GSS from Stata?
Because we're in
Oh, that's what it
SAS,
is, okay.
and then we are viewing this data set, and the data set, the name of the data set is two parts. Where it is work, dot, and then the name of the file. So if you want to look at it to make sure that it worked, that's how you can do so. Let's see. What time is this class over with? Let's
45.
see. 45. Okay, yeah, because we may have to eject to do our first homework 0 since I forgot to do that last time. And then we'll have to pick this up next week. So one more example of another kind of import. Excel. If you're working with an Excel file, I have one in there so that we can practice seeing what this looks like. It's similar in principle. Data file is what you're importing, starting with this file save abbreviation for where it is, / and then the name of the file with an extension. What you want to call it inside SAS, so it's going to that same work temporary directory, and now I'm calling it GSS from Excel. DBMS is Excel. So depending on your operating system, this will either be the word Excel or XLS. It depends on the combination of Windows and whether it's 34-bit or 64-bit. Same replace. 2 extra commands that are necessary for Excel. Within Excel, you can have multiple spreadsheets, so you have to tell it which one you want to pull it from. And in quotes, in purple, means you have to get it exactly right. Case and space sensitive. Get names equals yes. Means if you have variable names at the top row of your Excel file, it will read them in as variable names in the program, which is super handy. If you don't want that to happen, if your names are elsewhere, can you guess what you would change this to? No. Yeah. See? It's somewhat intuitive. It's somewhat intuitive. So in your homeworks, for example, I am going to give you a data file. I'm going to give you a starter file for the syntax that has commands like this, and all you have to do is tell it where your stuff is and what your ID name is, ID number is, because each of your data files is going to have that. So while I'm mentioning it, let's do that real quick before I forget, because I did it with the other class and I meant to do it with this one. You'll have to forgive me if I seem disorganized. This is the first time since 2014 I've taught 2 classes in the same semester, and these are both new preps for me. So it's like I forget what class I've planned to do what in if they're not doing the exact same thing each day. But I did want to go over homework 0 with you to make sure that everybody can log into that. And then we'll pick up all the SAS stuff again next time.
Real quick, were we supposed to push the running man?
Yeah.
Sure.
For 94?
Yeah. Or F3.
Does it save it automatic? Am I supposed to save it?
The instructions, the syntax. You do need to save this instructions file. It's called a syntax file. You do not need. Yes, you can just hit Control-S or whatever the analog is in Mac that you normally would save files as, and that's all you need to save.
Where does it save?
Wherever it is that you opened it from in the first place. It just writes over itself each time. So there's nothing different about that. These data sets that we've imported, so now my work library has 2. I've got the one from Excel and the one from Stata. You don't have to save those. All you've done is copy them from one file format into the other, from a Stata data set to a SAS data set, or from an Excel spreadsheet to a SAS data set. So long as you have the original and this instruction file, that's all you need.
What is my ID?
So on on the course website,
And it took me like 20 minutes to find out where I couldn't even find it.
homework portal is what I went to here. I want to walk through this with you so that I can show you how it works and prepare you for your first homework, which we can start working on, let's see, next week. So your last name, I'm actually going to use a dummy login because my dates are set differently than yours, but you would type your last name and your Iowa ID, that's 8 digits. So for those of you who have 2 last names or hyphenated last names, use both and include the hyphen if that's what you use. It's literally whatever it says like in your official registration. That's where I pulled your names from. All right. So once you hit enter, you should be in. Does anybody get an error message instead? You're in? Everybody's in? Woo! See how much easier this is than virtual machine. So I have 2 homeworks in here because the first one is the one that I've been working on to make sure that it's ready, but let's do homework 0. So note all of your current point totals are going to be here. So you'll know at any moment in time after each assignment is due what your current percentage is. On that note, I had a question from one of you about the last assignment being due towards the end of finals week. We don't have finals exams in this class, and the last homework is nothing more than just another homework. It's not cumulative. So I hope that I would have it available sometime in week 15, such that you could actually have everything finished by the end of regular classes. So if you're making plans to go home or to get your plane tickets, you can leave at the end of class week. You don't have to stay for finals week because you can finish your homework if it's not done yet from wherever you are. So here's homework 0. I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to use this and that all of the names were correct in terms of getting you logged in. So 3 kinds of questions that we're going to have. Question number 1 is an example of a computational question. This is the kind you get immediate feedback on. How many regular homeworks are we going to have? 6. So what if I type 7?
Goes red, right?
Yep, I hit enter and it turns red. And if I hit 6 and I hit enter, it turns green. So you can get as many tries as you need to get the things to be green. And you'll know that you're on the right track every time you see something turn green. How many points? It's 86 is what I'm going for this year. How many points do you lose if it's even a minute late? 3. Not because I'm mean, but because I know that things with deadlines get done. Real deadlines, right? However, how many points of extra credit are you earning right now by doing this? 3. 1 free late homework is the way I look at it. So I hit it. So far, so good. Drop-down menu, my office is located in South. Although my office hours will not be held at the Come and Go or Chipotle. Sorry, that's the way I say it. I know it's Chipotle. But it looks like Chipotle to me. My mom calls it Chipotle, which is more wrong than what I say. But yes, Lindquist Center, this room in and or around. Office hours here. So I'm going to get one of these wrong just so you can see what happens if that were the case. So let's say that we're going to have it first thing in the morning on Mondays at 2:30 a.m. If no one is at office hours, what am I going to do? I'm going back upstairs. Yeah. Some more numeric questions here. So these, by the way, these drop downs you don't get to see if you're right or not until after the due date has passed and you turn it in. How many points from out of class formative assessments? 14. Yep. How many days a week are we showing up here? 2. And how many days a week do you have, or days off do you have according to the syllabus right now? Yeah, it's 2. There are 2 classes that we're not going to have class because I will be out of town. All right. And where can you use SAS? Anywhere. Where can you use Stata?
On campus.
On campus. And the last one here, Will this class be a cakewalk, a nightmare, or challenging? But in a good way. Yeah, correct. All right. So you'll note at the bottom here, it says, good work. All your computational questions are right. So there is an option here for check and save your answers. If you are not done with your homework and you want to come back and finish it later, make sure you hit that. And whatever you picked last will still be here. It will save anything that's already right, and anything that was wrong, it will just show up as empty still. So if I decide that I'm done, I want to hit the button under this that says Submit Final Answers. So let's do that together. You're not done yet. I wanted to build in a catch just in case you accidentally hit Submit and you didn't mean to. So note what happens at this stage after you say that you want to submit. All the drop downs are gone so that you can just read it, and hopefully that makes it easier to see if it sounds correct to you. If you decide that you're happy, you then need to enter your 8-digit ID again to actually submit. If you decide that you're not happy, there's a button to go back and change something, and that screen then reopens all the boxes for you to change it. So I'm going to submit with my fake password here. And because I'm using my own testing login, my due date is different than yours. I set that up so that I could show you what it's going to look like. So if I go back to the main page, now it says View Submitted Answers for me. And this is what it will look like after the fact. Anything that you miss up here, what you last said will be in red and the right answer will be in green. So you know what it should have been. Likewise, anything that you miss for these drop downs or the multiple choice questions, the wrong answer will be in red followed by the right answer in green. That being said, if you think that I made a mistake or you're not sure why it's the wrong answer, please ask me. I'm happy to go over this. If everybody gets it done on time, I can go over it in class and sort of walk you through, especially helpful if there's any sort of common misconceptions that I can clear up. And then at the bottom, it gives you your breakdown. So this homework was worth 3 points. 2 of the points were allocated towards the computational part and 1 for the results. So for instance, there were 7 questions. So I got all 2 points out of 2. For the 7 results question, I got 6 right, and so I got 0.86 points out of 1. So I point this out because strategically, if you're working on this and the deadline's approaching and you just get stuck on one of these answers, it's worth a fraction of a point. You don't have to have it all the way complete. If you've done as much as you possibly can and you're missing like 1 number, it's better off for you to submit it and not lose the 3 points and just take the hit on the fraction of a point for the one that you're missing. You can always, because you'll know what the answers are, go back and keep working on it and get help to finish that last question. So I'm trying to make it a reasonable thing. If you get most of it right, then you should be in good shape. Okay, so what do you think? Okay, so your first homework, I'm going to make this available later this afternoon since everybody logged in successfully. I was waiting on that. You don't have access to this yet, but I just wanted to point out, once you do get it, there are going to be 3 files that you need to download. Each of you has your own comma-separated values version of the data set. The reason I picked that format is because it's a very small file, and you can double-click on it and it opens in a software package. So you can actually see the data without actually having to log into SAS or Stata. Likewise, there are going to be 2 versions of a starter syntax. So if I click on this, for instance, this is the text that you can copy in. I'm trying to make it so that you don't have to fight with SAS about data, that you can focus on the models and the things that I want you to practice. So for instance, in SAS, if you plug in your ID number, which homework it is, and the path, which you all know how to get to now, it will import your data. And so that you don't have to worry about trying to generate code for. Any code that you'd have to generate will be based on whatever we've done in class. So I have one for SAS and I have one for Stata. So those are your sort of get started files. So then I have instructions, computational questions. This is a write-up. It's not so big. My personal record, I think, is like 108 questions, something like that. This one, I tried to hold back. There's only 41. But what this is going to look like actually is a method section. So all we've talked about so far is univariate statistics, like frequencies, means, but that's the kind of stuff you'd report in a method section, right? So this is a fill-in-the-blank method section. What's going to happen, you see these zeros everywhere? Once, yeah, all of my studies happen at Midwestern Red State University. That's actually not specific enough to know which one it is, right? But I've worked at 3 of them. So these zeros are going to populate with your answers from above once you get them right. So you will know what you're referring to, for instance. The drop-down menus are used for you to label these numbers correctly. So this will be due in, I think I'm going to have to push it back since we didn't get as far with that, but I'm going to go like week and a half, we'll say, to work on this. So it should not take very long. It really shouldn't. But we haven't gone over the code that we got in the example for today yet, so I don't want to make it due until you have at least a week after we do that. So that'll be next week. So yeah, you'll have 6 of these to do.
Will we have more time to, like the data sets we downloaded today, and will we have time to work this next week?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Like I had thought optimistically that we'd get through the SAS stuff today, but since we didn't, I'll put that on the docket for next week, which means that I want to have at least a week after we finish something for you to do the homework on it. So I'm going to have to bump this probably till later on, like the Friday of that week or something, so that we have more time. But I anticipate, in terms of how to plan for the homeworks, the irony is that the better you understand, the easier it is and the faster it goes. You'll spend more time on it if you're not understanding it, right? And that's kind of how it should be. But I would hope this one is maybe an hour or 2. So nothing that's going to be catastrophic, nothing that's tear-inducing or otherwise going to ruin your life, right? I'd say there's no crying in statistics, but that's not entirely true. So there's no crying in this class. How's that? I've done my fair share of crying before. So. All right.
I don't know if you said this, but when will the homework be available?
After class. Yes. Once I get back to my office about, what time will that be? 3:30 or so, I'm going to turn it on for the rest of you. I was waiting to make sure that everyone could log in, meaning that I got all your names correct and all that kind of stuff. So, yep.
And then we have about the 17th.
Say that again?
We have until the 17th.
So I had it due on a Monday of week 4. I'm going to push it until at least that Friday, because what's going to happen is that Tuesday we're going to finish example 2, and that's what the homework is over. So I want to make sure that you have at least a week to do that. So the concepts you already have. The concepts of univariate statistics we've already talked about, right? Like frequencies for categorical variables and means and standard deviations. It's making SAS spit them out. That's what we haven't done yet. But that's the part that actually translates to your real life, right? Not just a theoretical skill, but an applied one. So yeah, I'm going to update the webpage. I'll send out an email when homework 1 is available. You can start on it if you'd like, but you don't have to. So, okay? So I apologize for the frustration with the virtual desktop, but unfortunately that's what we have to do to get started in this. It gets easier more practice you have with it. So, and of course it's mad at me now. It's like, you're done. I'm timed you out. So. So, any questions on files or software or any of this stuff? Okay. Then let's call it a day. Have a good weekend. Let me know if you need anything. And that's it. We'll call it good.